My college roommate stole my scholarship essay, so I made sure they never graduated. I spent 3 months perfecting that essay. Growing up in foster care, education as my lifeline. Raw, honest, heartbreaking, everything scholarship committees love. I'd shared bits with Madison during late-night writing sessions, complaining about writer's block. Madison came from money, designer everything, spring break trips to Europe. Her biggest hardship was choosing between the BMW or Mercedes for her sweet 16. She was majoring in communications because it seemed easy. I was pre-med on partial scholarship, working 20 hours weekly at the campus bookstore. The Whitman Foundation scholarship would change everything. Full tuition, books, living stipend, worth $80,000 over 2 years. 3 days before the deadline, I printed my final draft and left it on my desk while working a double shift. When I returned, Madison was gone for the weekend. My essay was still there, untouched. 2 weeks later, the Whitman Foundation called. Concerns about originality. My heart stopped. We received 2 nearly identical essays, the coordinator explained. Same experiences, same writing style. Since we can't determine which is authentic, both applications are disqualified. I knew immediately. Madison returned with shopping bags and guilt written across her face. When I confronted her, she broke down. I was desperate, she sobbed. Daddy cut off my allowance after I failed organic chemistry. I thought if I tweaked your essay, made it about adoption instead of foster care, she'd submitted my story as her own, changing just enough details to avoid detection. But the emotional core, the specific anecdotes, my unique phrasing, it was all there. I could have reported her to the dean. Instead, I smiled and said I understood. Desperation makes people do stupid things. What I didn't tell her was that I'd printed her admission file from the registrar's computer. Her work-study job had left her password taped under her keyboard. Careless. Madison's transcript revealed something interesting. Academic probation. 1 more failed class meant dismissal. Her father was pressuring administration with donations, but even his influence had limits. I started small. Madison relied on my biology notes. I began introducing subtle errors into copies I'd leave for her. Wrong formulas, incorrect dates, flipped sequences. She never caught on. For chemistry lab reports, I'd submit the correct version, then email her sabotaged copies with faked data and backwards procedures. She'd turn them in without reading thoroughly. Madison's grades plummeted. She panicked, begging for help. I provided it. Badly wrong help, disguised as generous assistance. The breaking point came during finals. Madison was barely passing organic chemistry, the class she'd already failed once. She needed a B+ to stay enrolled. I offered to study with her the night before. 6 hours in the library while I taught her reaction mechanisms. Every single one was wrong. The next morning, I watched her confidently scribble incorrect answers across every page. She failed with a 23%. 2 days later, Madison received her dismissal letter. She came to our room crying. "I don't understand," she said. "I studied so hard. You helped me prepare. I looked up from my biochemistry textbook, bought with money from my research assistant job. A position I'd gotten after Madison's probation disqualified her. Sometimes studying isn't enough," I said gently. "Sometimes you need to understand the material instead of copying someone else's work." Her face went white. She finally understood. Madison packed that afternoon. Her father couldn't donate enough to reverse academic dismissal for repeated failures. 6 months later, I reapplied for the Whitman Scholarship with a new essay about perseverance. I won unanimously. Madison transferred to community college. Last I heard, she was working at her father's firm, in the mailroom. The foster care system taught me many lessons. The most important, when someone steals your future, you build a better one from their ashes.